Okay, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. So we started last week with these. There's one term that I forgot to teach you, which was here. So the jar and the majroor that is treated as this ka'in, okay? So when you have it could be a khabar, right? When you say Zaydun fid dar, or it could be a sifa. For example, rajulun ra'itu rajulan min America, right? So the jar majrur is the sifa of the rajul. It could be a hal, ra'itu Zaydan ala al-faras, right? While he was on the horse, ka'inan ala al-faras, right? So that jar majrur that's muta'alliq to a كائن or مستقر or موجود or whatever, that word is called ظرف مستكن. ظرف مستكن, right? From the word kin, which is a shelter, right? It's sheltering in something. It's called ظرف مستكن. And then we have the other type of ظرف, which is called لغو, right? لغو meaning it's not non-essential, right? It's not like if you cut it out, it's not the end of the world, right? It's not, it's kind of it could be we mentioned it could be a maf'ul bihi, it could be a this, etc. It's going to be essentially going to be something extra, right? So mustakin, dharf mustakin, meaning a jar majrur or a dharf that is muta'alliq to a ka'in, right, or something like that. And then laghu, which is a jar majrur that's actually muta'alliq to something else, right? Khair. And then we started with the nawasikh, right, of the ism of the mubtada khabar, changes that structure and makes a mubtada khabar relationship in a slightly different way with kana wa akhawatu, etc. So we have basically three categories here. So we've got kana wa akhawatuha, and then we're gonna have afterwards dhanna wa akhawatuha, and then you're going to have the kind of banat am of kana, right? Which is what we're going to see that in a second. Okay. So we saw madama, we spoke about that. Okay, so it says ومثال كان زيدun قائما فكان فعل ماض ناقص. We said, what is a فعل ناقص? A فعل ناقص is a linking verb that connects two things, and so it cannot survive without its khabar. So it is there is a one of the umad, one of the pillars of the sentence is the khabar, right? As opposed to كان الله, right? وجد الله, Allah existed. But كان الله سميعا بصيرا or كان الله عليما خبيرا, that's the three units of the sentence are kana plus ism and khabar, right? That's what we mean by kana naqis, right? Or fa'al naqis. So you have kana, then you have the ism kana and the khabar kana. So he says فكان ترفع الاسم, right? وتنصب الخبر وزيد نسمها وهو مرفوع وقائما خبرها وهو منصوب. وكذلك القول في باقيها تقول أمسى زيد فقيها وأصبح عمرو ورعا وأضحى محمد متعبدا وظل بكر ساهرا. He spent the whole day awake at night. That's a bit odd, isn't it? So ظل means, so maybe he's trying to make a point here that doesn't necessarily mean at night. Allahu a'lam. Right? So ظل, the default means to spend the day, right? But sahir means to be up at night. So Allahu a'lam. Maybe he's trying to make a point here that doesn't necessarily mean that. Allahu a'lam. وبات أخوك نائما وصار وصار السعر رخيصا وليس الزمان منصفا وما زال الرسول صادقا صلى الله عليه وسلم وما فتئ العبد خاضعا وما انفك الفقيه مجتهدا وما برح صاحبك متبسما, right, your friend is still smiling, ولا أصبحك ولا أصحبك ما دام زيد مترددا إليك, I will never hang out with you and as long as Zaid keeps visiting you. وكذا القول فيما تصرف منه فتقول في مضارع كان يكون زيدا قائما وفي الأمر كن قائما إلى آخره, right, كن فيكون اسم كان تامة, right, كن صادقا كان ناقصا. في الاسم الفاعل كائن زيد قائما, right, زيد will be standing. وفي الاسم المفعول مكون قائم, right, that which is very difficult to translate. So it says فحذف الاسم وأنيب عنه الخبر فارتفع ارتفاعه, right, so that means a stander was. So it's about a bit of a weird sentence, right? But he's trying to say, all he's trying to say is structurally that it exists. Structurally exists, but you're not really going to see it, right? فارتفع ارتفاعه. وفي المصدر عجبت من كون زيد قائما, right? كونك طالبا, right? Due to the fact that you are a student, كونك طالبا, right? وقس على هذا ما تصرف من أخواتها إلى etc. Right? And then he says باب خبر إن وأخواتها. So he's going to go on to the تتميم النواسخ afterwards. He's going to go on to. So I'm going to skip this. I'm going to come back to it. So you have these, and he's not going to mention the أفعال الشروع, is he? He's not going to mention it. Okay, so let's just quick look at this paragraph, and they're going to go back to the previous paragraph. So he says باب تتميم النواسخ. He says وهي ظننت وأخواتها. So before ظننت وأخواتها, in reality we have like the cousins of kana. Okay, what are the cousins of kana? These are أفعال الشروع. أفعال الشروع. So جعلت أبكي, I started to cry. إحلولق يتكلم, he started to speak. طفق مسحا, right, he started to wipe. طفق ماسحا, he started to wipe. What else? There's other verbs like that. كاد أن يبكي. Okay, so they're a bit weird in that their khabar is always a jumla fi'liya, right? They're a bit weird in that they are. I'm going to do it on the whiteboard. I'm not sure why it's not here. I'll just quickly put it on the whiteboard here. How do I do whiteboard? 1 second. Okay, stop share. That's what I do. Share, stop share, stop share. So these essentially are the akhawat of kana, but I like to call them the banat am of kana because they are slightly different, right? So af'al al-shuru' to start doing something. Okay, like we said, we had kada. الكاف قال كاد زيد أن يبكي. Okay, a little bit bigger. So, another example. جعل زيد يبكي. What else? طفق يبكي. Okay, so if you look at these two, we have our جعل, which is our فعل ناقص, which means the start. Zayd is ism جعل. Okay, and then يبكي, the jumla, is the khabar of جعل. So can you say جعل زيد باكيا? No, you can't do that. The jumla, the khabar, has to be a jumla fi'liya. Okay, that's just how it is. So that's why it's not really like the كان وأخواتها. So كنت ماشيا كنت أمشي. That's fine. But when you say جعل يبكي, طفق يبكي. Okay. Okay. So that's that structure. Same thing. طفق right. But then you say كاد زيد يموت or كاد زيد أن يموت. But most of the time we mention كاد. Okay. كاد زيد يموت كاد زيد أن يموت. Okay. So what is this an doing? In principle, the an, I'm going to answer then. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Rasulullah hayya ala salah. Okay. The default is an is going to be an masdariyah. Okay, harf masdari. It's going to change the verb from change the verbal sentence after it into a masdar. It should be kada zaydun buka'ahu, right? But that wouldn't make any sense. Zayd was almost his own crying. That doesn't make any sense. So what do they say? What is this an doing? This an's just it's just not doing anything, right? So yes, this word is going to be mansub lafdan, but it's not really mansub. Okay, so this is kind of harf zaid in reality. It's like a harf zaid. It's not really doing anything. So this is not kada zaydun buka'ahu. This is kada zaydun yabki. So this is a jumla fi'liya fi mahal nasb khabr kada. Okay. Now there's one issue with kada is what does it actually mean, right? So it's not really muqaraba. So this is not so kada doesn't really mean almost. It doesn't mean starting to, right? So ja'ala means the start, right? Tafiqa means the start. But like kada or awshaka zaydun and yabki. Awshaka zaydun yabki. With awshaka and kada, it means almost. It's a af'al of muqaraba, right? Of muqaraba. It means to be close to something. So that's kind of different, right? So, but when you say close to, do you mean close to doing it or close to not doing it? Right? So if I said kada zaydun and yabki, or kada zaydun and yamut, did he die or did he not die? Right? Does that make sense? Did he die or did he not die? And then I invert it. Ma kittu an arahu. Like I almost didn't see him. That means you didn't see him or you almost did, like what does that mean? Ma kittu an arahu. Like I didn't get close to seeing him. Or does it mean you did see him, but only just? So there's a bit of the debate here, right? Some scholars, they say it's positive whether it's positive, whether it's negative or not. Meaning, kittu an arahu, I saw him but only just. Ma kittu an arahu, I saw him but only just. Right? Others say it's the other way around. Kittu an arahu means I almost see him, I almost saw him, but I didn't. Ma kittu an arahu is I almost didn't see him, but I did. Right? So some say it's positive regardless, some say it's negative regardless, some say it's positive when it's negative and negative when it's positive. So ma kittu arahu means I almost didn't see him, but I did. And kittu an arahu is I almost did see him, but I didn't. And then there's other opinion as well, right? So there's a bit of a debate there. Just note that down. Like, what does it actually mean? Lam yakad yarahu, like he almost didn't see his hand, or he didn't see his hand, but almost did, right? What does that? What does it mean? There's a debate there. Okay, and note as well that the n is just extra. It's not doing anything. Right? It's just it's not. It's zaid essentially. Okay, they say it's for sabk. It's like for connecting the two words together. Does that make sense? So these are of af'al shuru and muqaraba, right? They are they are they are like kana in that they are naqis. They have an ism and they have a khabar, but the khabar is always a jumla fi'liya in the mudari'. Does that make sense? There's other words as well. Kariba, ihlawlaqa, شرع يتكلم بدأ يتكلم جعل يتكلم etc. Right? And then just to complete the picture, there are 4 types of ja'ala. Okay? There are 4 types of ja'ala. So if you can have a picture, ja'ala has 4 meanings. Number 1, it means to create. And it has one object, right? What's the verse? نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار وجعلنا فيها سراجا وهاجا, right? خلقنا فيها سراجا وهاجا, right? So ja'ala can have one maf'ul bihi, which means ja'ala, which means to create. Okay? And then to make X, Y, right? جعلتك رئيسي, جعلتك وزيري, right? To make X, Y has 2 maf'ul bihis, 2 maf'ul bihis proper, right? It's called أفعال of sayrura, right? جعلت الطين بيتا, right? I turned the mud into a house. Okay. Now we have shuru' to start. جعلت أبكي. And then I thought. جعلتك صديقي. I thought you were my friend. Right. And now it's of the next category of verbs, which is ظن وأخواتها. Okay. Does that make sense? So 1 maf'ul bihi, 2 maf'ul bihis, and then it has ism and khabar as to start doing something, and then 1 maf'ul bihi and a second maf'ul bihi as an mubtada khabar relationship. So I thought you were standing. خلتك قائما, جعلتك قائما, وجعلتها قائمة. So there's a big difference between I thought she was standing versus I made her something, right? جعلتها هناك. I put her over there. I made her go over there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Right. And so importantly then, when with ja'ala, if it's a bit tricky with ja'ala. If I say, for example, جعلته هناك, I put it over there. you're not doing ta'alluq to the verb. You're not saying ja'altu, and the place where I did ja'ala was here or there. That's not true. What you're saying is I made him go over there. So he is over there, right? I made X, Y. I'm so X is Y. I made X, Y. So now the jar majrur in the Y is muta'alliq to a ka'in. جعلتها هناك. I put her over there, right? Meaning صيرتها هناك. So this is still kind of these two still are similar in that the mubtada, there's kind of still a mubtada khabar relationship, right? So the jar majrur of the Y is still muta'alliq to a ظرف مستكن, still muta'alliq to like a kain. Okay. جعلتك في الدار. I thought you were in the house. أي جعلتك كائنا في الدار. Not I created you in the house. جعلتك في الدار. I created you. Where did you create me? When you were in the house, right? So we always have to think تعلق means it's a qaid, right? It's a condition. Is the fiddar a condition for you or is a condition for the creating? That's what ta'alluq means, right? In terms of meaning, right? Did I think you and the thinking happened in the house, or did I think you were in the house? Did I make her go over there, or did I put her over there, or did I put her and the putting happened here or there? Okay, so that's just kind of crossing a bridge before we get to it, but I just want to mention it here, inshallah. Khair. Let's go on to continue with the matan. So he said, so he says, Bab tatmim al-nawasikh, وهو ظننت وأخواتها. So again, what is the relationship between dhanna and the ism and the mubtada khabar? Is that I think X is Y. So the relationship is X and Y. So that means X and Y, they have to agree in gender and number, right? So kasawtu Zaydan thawbaini. That's fine. The Zayd and what I clothe Zayd in, or Zayd and what I give Zayd do not have to agree in number and gender because they're not related, right? But the relationship between the maf'ul bihi awwal or maf'ul bihi thani of dhanna is that they are mubtada khabar relationship. That's so khiltuka qa'iman khiltuha qa'imatan, right? ظننتهما قائمين ظننتهم قائمين, right? So it's going to change based on the number and gender because the default is that relationship of mubtada khabar. Any discussion that we have to do mubtada khabar, the default will be copied here, right? So last night we were doing the mu'allaqa of Amr ibn Kulthum, and it said it had example of a ضمير الفصل between the na'ib al-fa'il of a verb that is in the dhanna wa akhawatuha and its second maf'ul bihi. Okay, so what is a dhamir al-fasl is when you say something like Muhammad Amin huwa Tunisi, right? So dhamir al-fasl is you use it, this is harf, it's not a dhamir in reality, it's a harf that you put between a definite mubtada and a definite khabar for emphasis or for clarity, right? Muhammad Amin huwa Tunisi, right? So I can put it there and I can say ظننت محمدا هو التونسية, right? So I put it between the مفعول به أول and مفعول به ثاني of ظن. Why? Because originally it was a mubtada khabar relationship, right? And just like we can have a mubtada khabar relationship, you could have a khabar as a jumla fi'liya. Similarly, ظننت زيدا يمشي, right? So yamshi is maf'ul bihi thani of dhanna, just like it could be the khabar before. Now it's a maf'ul bihi thani. So it is essentially doing naskh, abrogating, changing a pre-existing mubtada khabar relationship. And so this has now 4 essential parts. So that sentence has four essential parts. It cannot exist without those four parts. You have dhanna, right? Your thinking verb. You have its fa'il, right? Or it's na'ib al-fa'il, fine. And then you have the mubtada, which has now become maf'ul bihi awwalu. And then now you have the khabar, which has now become maf'ul bihi thanin. Okay? So those are essential parts. It does not exist without it. You could make it passive. Dhunna Zaydun qa'iman. Zayd was thought to be standing. Fine. So that was the sentence last night. He says, وَنُوجَدُ نَحْنُ what is it? أَمْنَعُهُمْ ذِمَارًا. Right? Nujad means we are found to be. We are thought to be. Nahnu nujad, right? Like in English, you say, I find this tea a little bit sweet. Like that's my opinion of the tea, right? Not that I found it, but I found it in this way. Like, how do you find the food? Oh, it's a little bit spicy, to be fair, right? How do you find the class? It's a bit boring. The guy keeps repeating himself, right? Um, so nahnu nujadu, we are found to be nahnu. So nujadu, I'm gonna write it for you. Why doesn't it allow me to whiteboard? So yajiduna. The sentence is originally like this. Yajiduna. Yajiduna. غيرنا. أمنعهم. What does that mean? أمنعهم. ثمار. Very well. Okay. So yajiduna, that's our verb. Na is the maf'ul bihi one, number one. غيرنا, that's our. Can you see the dhamma there? I can't see the dhamma. Oh, it doesn't let you put. Oops. Okay, no worries. It doesn't show the it doesn't show the harakat until you click off it. Interesting. Okay. Not ideal for writing Arabic, which is fine. يجينا غيرنا أمنعهم ذمارا. Okay. So يجي do na غيرنا, that's the fa'il. أمنعهم, second مفعول به. This is مفعول به 1. This is مفعول به 2. Right, and then this is tamyiz. We are the ones who have we protect our responsibilities, our ties, right, more than anybody else. Like when you team up with our tribe, you'll find that we're very, very loyal and we protect everybody. Okay, so then what happened is then he he makes this, the first one, makes it passive, right? I'm going to do this. So I'm going to get this, copy it. I'm going to alter or change it a little bit, make it passive. Okay, so instead of yajibu now, you say nujadu. We are found to be. Nujadu. Okay. So now the na'ib al-fa'il is the maf'ul bihi number one. Not a problem. Okay. Nujadu amna'ahum. Nujadu. We are found to be. People see us as. Right? People have the opinion that we are. Amna'ahum dimara. Okay. So nujad is our verb, is our wajada fi'al qalb, the opinion verb, fi'al qulub, the opinion verbs. Then we have the nahnu, that the damir mustatir, that's the na'ib al-fa'il, which is the first. Now the first maf'ul bihi has become a na'ib al-fa'il, and amna' is maf'ul bihi thanin. We still call this maf'ul bihi thanin, by the way, even though there's no other maf'ul bihi, because the first maf'ul bihi became the na'ib al-fa'il. So this is maf'ul bihi thanin. Okay. So far, that's fine. But then what does he do? Is he throws in damir and fasl. Okay. So on top of that, you can say put nujadu nahnu, right? And this is not right. Right, true. How do I stretch this out? I just want to make it so you can see the whole thing in one go. Anyway, no worries. So nujadu nahnu. What is this nahnu doing? This is like saying saying Zaydun huwa tawilu. So why on earth do I have a damir al-fasl in the middle of after a verb? You have a damir al-fasl after a verb because it's not really a verb. It is something that's taken over a mubtada khabar relationship. Does that make sense? So that's the point I'm trying to make. Everything about it, even if you play around with it, is essentially a mubtada khabar relationship. The na'ib al-fa'il is essentially still the mubtada, and the maf'ul bihi thani is still maf'ul bihi thani, and is now essentially the khabar. That's why you can have a damir al-fasl between the two of them. Does that make sense? Right. Similarly, I can make it definite, right? أنت الصديق, mashallah, you are the very definition of a friend. خلتك الصديق. I imagined you were the friend, right? So you can do that, right? But it has the same sense as the mubtada khabar relationship, and any other discussion will be the same thing. Okay, makes sense, inshallah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so وهي ظن وأخواته, these are called أفعال القلوب. وتقول ظننت. So ظننت can also just be a normal verb. ظننت زيدا أي اتهمته, right? وهو ظنين ومتهم, right? That's normal ظن. That's ظن as a فعل. That's a normal ظن, right? ظننت زيدا. The ظن فعل عادي, right? تو فاعل زيدا مفعول به خلاص, right? I had ظن of him, right? Had سوء الظن of him, right? But ظننت زيدا قائما, now that's what we're talking about, right? This is فعل فعل من أفعال القلوب, meaning I imagined X to be Y. فظننت فعل وفاعل وزيد مفعول به أول وقائم مفعول به ثان. Four essential parts you cannot do without. وكذا القول في حسبت عمرا مقيما وزعمت راشدا صادقا وخلت, right? Now with خلت, one point which you'll see this frequently, it kind of throws you off in poetry, is that usually in the mudari' you don't say akhalu, right? So khiftu akhafu, right? But with khiltu, who knows what you say? You say ikhalu with a kasra. Wala ikhalu. Wala ikhalu ladayna minki tanwilu, right? In the qasida Banat Su'ad. right? ولا إخال. So you're going to get confused. What's إخال? It does not look like a normal verb, right? And so it's so with you say, you don't say أخال, you say إخال with a kasra normally, okay? ولا إخال, right? I don't think so. ولا إخالك كاذبا. I don't think you're a liar, right? خلت الهلال لائحا وعلمت المستشار ناصحا, right? So here then, what does alima mean, right? Because you could use عرف in the place, right? عرفتك كذاب من أول ما شفتك, right? عرفتك كذاب, right? I knew you were a liar. That's not the, so usually what's the difference between alima and arafa is alima is like this, right? To know X to be Y as a fact, that's alima usually, right? So I know two to be half, علمت اثنين نصف الأربعة, right? To know X to be Y as a fact, to have a hukm in your mind. Well, that's alima. As opposed to Muhammad Amin ibn Faraj, عرفتك ibn Fulan, صح? عرفتك, right? That means I recognize you, right? I recognize you. That's what it means. Arafa means to recognize a person, to recognize a place, right? And so again, for Muhammad Amin and other French speakers, like it's similar, almost 90% the same as connaître versus savoir, right? So savoir is like alima, to know something, right? Whereas connaître is different, right? We say, for example, إرفانا بخدمتك للبلد, right? Out of appreciation, right? Out of appreciation. عرف can also mean to اعترف, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will عرفها له, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show this person his life, etc. فعرفها, and he'll say it's true, yeah, Allah, I did this or that happened to me, right? فعرفها, meaning اعترف بها, right? So to be cognizant of, to appreciate, right? To recognize somebody, right? So that's what arafa means, as opposed to alima, which means I knew X to be Y, right? علمت الله واحدا, I knew Allah to be one, right? بس هل تعرف الله? That's different, right? العلم بالله is one thing. To know Allah, I know Allah is one. Allah could do this. علمت الله قادرا على كل شيء. I know Allah to be all powerful. Okay, but are you cognizant of that? Do you really appreciate the fact that Allah, right? That's why we say huwa arif billah, right? كلنا عالم بالله, right? We all know Allah, right? That's that, right? But are we arif billah? That's two different things. Okay, so ma'rifah, right, is different to ilm, right? Okay, so علمت المستشار, I knew X to be Y. رأيت الجود محبوبا, right? So this is important, right? رأيتك, I saw you. رأيتك ساجدا, I saw you while you were prostrating. That's called a hal. عفوا رأيتك ساجدا, I thought you were prostrating. That's not a hal anymore. That's مفعول به ثاني. Okay? رأيتك وأنت مشغول فلم أسلم عليك, right? That's a حال. رأيتك مشغولا, I thought you were busy. Okay? رأيتك مشغولا فلم أسلم عليك, I saw you while you were busy, حال, so I didn't give salams to you. رأيتك مشغولا فلم أسلم عليك, I thought you were busy, so I didn't give salams to you. مفعول به ثاني. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Everyone's following? And Muhammad Amin is the spokesman for
Yes,
the
Sheikh.
class. There's Muhammad Aslam, Muhammad Hashir, Shibrim.
Yes, Sheikh. Yes, Sheikh.
Okay. وجدت الصدق منجيا وما أشبه ذلك. Okay, to find X to be Y. جعل as well mentioned, right? جعلته كذا, meaning to think that was the case. ولا تجعلوا مع ولا تجعلوا ولا تجعلوا لله أندادا. Don't think, don't imagine, right? It doesn't mean don't make, because you can't make. What it means is don't think. ولا تجعلوا لله أندادا. Right? Go ahead, Muhammad.
Is there a difference between munjian and munajjian?
So it's a subtle difference. Okay, so with nazzala and anzala and anja and with anja and najja, there is a slight difference. So generally, and it's something that's not, it's daqiq and not very necessarily agreed upon, is ثم ننجي الذين اتقوا. It means with deliberation, right, and slowly but surely, right. قرآن فرقناه what is it لتقرأه على الناس على مكث ونزلناه تنزيلا. So نزل فعل, bit by bit, slowly but surely, as opposed to أنزل, all in one go. نجى, it saved them slowly but surely. Anja, suddenly saves you, right? That's a general observation, not 100% the case, though. Does that make sense, Muhammad?
Yeah, jazakallah.
Okay. And how do I know that? Was it from my own bahth? No, right? So it's very important to, that we have to, as a talib ilm, there's two kind of shuyukh you're going to have. There's the functional sheikh and the jihbid sheikh, right? Functional sheikh is, I need to cover these mutun. Are you able to teach me these mutun? Yes. Check. The other thing is, subhanAllah, you were alive during his time, you didn't meet him, you didn't study with him? No. Okay, you have a problem, Habibi, right? So that's jihbid, your jihbid sheikh, which is a giant. So one of my teachers who was a giant, and I've taken like 1 gazillionth of what he has, is Sheikh Ali Hani, if you've heard of him. Sheikh Ali Hani is one of the world's most important mufassirs and scholars of tafsir and nahu and sarf. He's very, very unique, very, very unique. And I remember asking him a question once, and he kind of thought about it for a while, and he's like, yeah, it's like this. And then I found that same point in like Zamakhshari's commentary on Ben Su'ad, and it's like, subhanAllah, right? Like the amount that he studied and the amount that he teaches and the amount that he knows is ridiculous. The problem is that he doesn't have many students, and people don't understand him. So that's the problem with a jihbid. When you have somebody who's like really big, he, like when he did a commentary on the Jamia, it's just like any other commentary, because nobody would understand him. But what he actually has is like huge. So it's important, just write this down for yourself. Sometimes you need a functional, like, I need to cover this matan. I need a sheikh to cover this matan. Like he knows 10% more than me. Like he knows enough to teach me, and he's 10% above my level. Bismillah, let's do the text, right? Just finish the text. But then there's things that you will find that just other people don't have, right? Like, for example, so Sheikh Amjad Rashid, one of my teachers as well, very, very unique individual. Sheikh Hamza Karamani, very unique individual. Sheikh Ali Hani, certain shuyukh in Sheikh Ahmed Snowber in hadith, Sheikh Hamza Bakri, if you heard of Sheikh Hamza Bakri, right, in hadith as well, very unique. Certain people are like that, like they really stand out. Like that's not a normal person, right? He's not just your average Joe. And when they go, that's gone, right? So Sheikh Ali Hani, I don't follow his lectures online at all. I study with him, but I don't know what his lectures are like. I think most of them are very like because why? He said, like, I can't teach anybody, so I just teach on the low level, right? But you'll find certain people that this person is a proper baha, like it's insane. Like the amount of knowledge that they have is like insane. Like literally those 25, 34, 50 volumes are in their head. And it's like, whoa. And that's not normal. Like I've never met anybody who knows their science as well as Sheikh Ali Hani. Sheikh Dr. Sheikh Mustafa Sumait in Shafi Fiqh. Very good as well, right? Abdul Qadir Al-Ani, he passed away, rahimahullah, in Usul. People who are not, there's certain people who are like that, who are like they're jihbid min al-jahabida, right? They're a very unique individual, right? So note that down, and there's times in certain times in your life where you have to decide, what am I going to do in my life? Am I just studying, or am I studying? Right? And you have to search out for these people, and these people might not like you. They might not be nice. And there might be lots of trouble, a lot of difficulties, but they're like really unique, and it's really important to study with them, right? They have an insight that nobody else has, and information that nobody else, and they can open doors that nobody else can open. It's very important, right? So it's not like, oh yeah, my istiqra that I know this and this, right? I'm not a scholar, right? Just, just so you know, I'm just a talib ilm like you guys, just a little bit better than you. That's all. But there are certain shuyukh, there's shuyukh and there are shuyukh, they're not the same, right? There's shuyukh and shuyukh, right? And there's a big difference, and certain people are like really, really good, right? And other people are just good. So, but that have that a note. So this is a bab sabi', bab tabi' and marfu'. So he missed out the whole the banat am. That's my term for it. Banat am كانت. The أفعال الشروع and أفعال المقاربة. Okay, so he says, now we're going on to, so it says باب المراد به النعت والعطف والتوكيد والبدل, right? فالأول النعت وهو التابع المشتق للفعل أو بالقوة الموضحة لمتبوعه أو المخصص له، نحو جاءني زيد العالم ونحو جاءني زيد الدمشقي. Okay, so he says basically there are words that do amal, right? So everything we've seen so far, this word is doing amal to this. Why was jalisan mansub? Oh, because it was the maf'ul bihi thani of dhanna. When you said dhanantu zaydan jalisan. Okay, great. There's an amal. Here we're talking about secondary amal, right? Tabi'. There's amal to X, and this other word has a relationship with X, so it has amal as well. Okay? So that's what we're talking about. So these are the tawabi'. So this is the first then is the na'at. وهو المراد به النعت والعطف والتوكيد والبدل. So these are four, in reality, five separate things. Okay? So it's فالأول النعت, right? And so I can't remember which are which. The Basriin, they use the word na'at. The Kufiyun, they use the word sifa, right? But we use them now interchangeably, right? And we usually use the word na'at. But one is a term of the Basriin, one's a term of the Kufiyun. And in general, just side note, basically there was this kind of war between the Basriin and the Kufiyin, and eventually the Basriin kind of won. So if you can imagine, for example, there were Hanbalis and Shafi'is, and then the Shafi'is won. So then, you keep seeing positions that are kind of like really different inside one madhab. And you're like, what's that? And a term that's like different. Like we're not one madhab, So we're not really one discussion, but they're kind of close enough to make it one discussion. So it's a bit like that. So imagine if like there were no Hanbalis and they were just positions within the Shafi school, that would be a bit odd, right? So that's where the Kufiyun are. The Kufiyun, they have positions. They are a different school. They have their own opinions. They have their own mustalahat. They are different, but the Basriyan kind of just took over. And so how we study Nahw today, from approximately the year like 600 on, is basically Basran with a few things here and there of the Kufiyun. Okay, وهو التابع, it follows. Okay, so it follows the amal. So it's going to be mansub if the word's mansub, marfu' if the word's marfu', majzoom, majrur if the word's majrur. المشتق بالفعل أو بالقوة, right? It has the meaning that it has a verbness to it. Okay, so it's mushtaq. Okay, أو مؤول بالمشتق. So mushtaq or مؤول بالمشتق means it has this verbness to it. So like kabir, right? Like صغير, like jalis, الرجل الجالس, right? Like الرجل الجلاس, right? الكثير الجلوس. الرجل whatever. So it could be but it could be actually mushtaq, or it could be mu'awwal bil mushtaq, right? So here, for example, it says جاءني زيد العالم, right? الموصوف بالعلم, right? That's easy. أو نحو جاءني زيد الدمشقي, أي المنسوب إلى دمشق, right? So the word is not derived from Dimashq. Dimashq is not a verb, right? Dimashq is what's called jamid. It has no verbness to it, right? But what it means is الدمشقي means المنسوب إلى دمشق, right? So therefore it can be a sifa. Similarly, for example, رأيت كتابك هذا وهو كتاب جميل جدا, right? So كتابك هذا, this book of yours, there's a na'at, right? That is a na'at. Okay? So how is it a na'at? It means كتابك المشار إليه, the referred to book, right? كتابه هذا, كتابه المشار إليه, right? So هذا is a na'at of kitab, right? Because it's mu'awwal bil mushtaq, right? Or هذا هو رجل ثقة, right? So ثقة is يعني meaning موثوق به, right? So that's fine. ثقة meaning موثوق به. What else? Another example of mushtaq is like mu'awwal bil mushtaq. هو رجل أسد, يعني رجل شجاع, right? That's what you mean. And we'll see what is not mushtaq in a second, right? Al-muwaddih, that explains. Its job is it is something that is secondary. It is not primary. It is not essential. It is just there. Al-muwaddih li matbu'ihi al-ma'rifah. It will clarify when its word is definite, right? جاء الرجل, okay, it's definite. الرجل is definite. You're not saying any man. الطويل or الصغير, which one? Give me توضيح, right? So the word جاءني الرجل الطويل, طويل is there, is giving توضيح, is explaining the man, not doing تخصيص of the man, because the man is already khas, he's already specific, because it says the man. But it's doing توضيح of it, right? And it is secondary, it's not important. Okay, and we're going to see that in a second, why that's important. Or كتابك هذا, this book of yours, the word هذا is extra. كتابك is already known. But I say كتابك هذا is extra. As opposed to رأيت هذا الكتاب. Right? That's different. Relationship between هذا and الكتاب is something different. Inshallah, next week we'll have a look at it in more detail about هذا الكتاب and الكتاب هذا. Okay? أو المخصص له, or it gives تخصيص because it's indefinite. نحو جاءني زيد عالم, ونحو جاءني ونحو جاءني زيد الدمشقي. So دمشقي was an example of مؤول بمشتق. والمراد بالإيضاح, right, or توضيح, he said موضح, so it should be توضيح. الرفع والاحتمال في المعارف, removing, رفع, removing the possibility of being A or B. وبالتخصيص تقليل الاشتراك في النكرات, right, making it a smaller class, right? A man, a Japanese man, right? نحو جاءني رجل فاضل ومررت بقاع عرفج, right? ثم النعت قسمان, and inshallah we'll stop here. حقيقي وسببي, and we already know this because we already know the role of the ism fa'il and how it works. So this is not really a new point anyway. So the na'at, sababi and not sababi, is not really something new anyway. We've already seen it when we spoke about the fa'il. It's the same discussion. Okay, inshallah, we'll stop here. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.